good article came out on Fortune. It's called Mark Zuckerberg is replacing the metaverse with his Twitter killer threads in a new dream, the Fediverse. I was waiting for you to mention the Fediverse. You didn't mention the Fediverse, which is why I'm going to read this right now because it is a
I
key.
haven't even heard of the
It's a
Fediverse.
key strategic play to threads. I was like, it's on the back end. That's where I come in, the back end of the tech. What is the Fediverse? Born from the combination of the words federation and universe, the Fediverse is a loose alliance of decentralized servers, including from third parties that could share data among each other. So while Threads appears to just be another microblogging site similar to Twitter, its underlying differences as a decentralized platform are significant. Threads, like other social media apps on the Fediverse, will actually be a collection of distinct servers set up by users, similar to the way Twitter founder Jack Dorsey's Twitter copycat Mastodon currently operates. If
Is this like
create
open source? Is that what this means? It's
Go
open
on.
source? Is it
No,
is this
no.
like
Open source is
okay,
different. Open source is
okay.
different. Open source means that no one really owns the like IP of the software, and there's just developers across the world that are contributing to it. That's more open source. This is different. If creators of one server want to make their content available to those on another server, then those servers become federated and can communicate with each other. Threads will be Meta's first foray into open social networking, something that was reported on as far back as March. The idea, according to Meta's press release announcing Threads, is to allow people to connect with users on apps other than Threads. Cross posting has been around for years, but this appears to be a targeted effort by Meta to broaden the aperture of Threads' reach to all manner of social media users by not limiting itself exclusively to individuals already on the platform.
So you know what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
What I'm hearing is I have a PlayStation, you have an Xbox, we can play each other.
No. That's cross-platform. That's cross-posting. What this is I only have an Xbox account. And all my Xbox friends, the people who follow me, let's say I'm a streamer. Really, well, Xbox used to have a streaming competitor to Twitch, and I'm forgetting the name of it. Oh my god, I could see the colors and everything. But let's call it Microsoft's competitor to Twitch. Twitch, by the way, is a streaming platform where people play video games or talk, and other people follow them and give them money and so off. That's a very streamlined version of it. Let's say I'm on Xbox, I'm doing that. And I've got all my friends. I've got 300 friends. They all follow me. Whenever I get on a game, they're there. They're watching me. They're watching me play. Let's say I get annoyed with Xbox and I say, you know what? I don't like your monetization principles. I don't like the policies that are going on here. What would happen, or at least what happens today, is if I left, I'd have to start all over because all my people are locked to Xbox. I'd have to basically figure out a third-party platform. Let's say I left Xbox tomorrow. I had to find Twitter. I had to try to get people to let my Xbox followers know that I'm on Twitter. Follow me here. I'm now going to be streaming on Twitch. And then I have to start building a following from the ground up on Twitch. What this is, and what Threads has done, is to say, let's say I have 600 users on Threads. They follow me every day. I don't want to be on Threads anymore. I'm going back to Twitter. If Twitter were open, so if Twitter allowed this cross-pollination, when I go to Twitter, I just pull all the people that were following me on Threads into Twitter right immediately.
Well, it sounds like that's exactly what they did with Instagram and Threads.
That's exactly. That's exactly.
Right.
Kind of. It's a little different because it's owned by the same company. We're talking about owned by different companies.
So they basically, I love that because that's one of the things that keeps you. That's why you stay with devices. That's why you stay with Apple. Once you're with Apple, you're like, all my stuff's here. My music, everything, like everything's with Apple. How am I, my apps, whatever things you got on your apps, it's all there. How am I going to port that all over to an Android or whatever it is? And that's why you stay. To be able to change that, that's a game changer. That's what everyone always wanted. Europe doesn't allow that. That is an entire market that they cannot go into now unless Europe changes its laws, which will be interesting.
Now,
because that is that convenience. I don't know what we're giving up for that convenience, but that is convenience.
Well, that's what people are worried about.
The Europeans are going to say.
Well, that's what everyone's worried about. Because here's the thing: it sounds good in principle until you think of, well, if if Facebook is the first proliferator of federation, does that make them the like, are they now the arbiter of that federation? Does or because they're pulling in third parties to get on board with this? How much does this expand their reach? How pervasive does this make them in terms of the ethos of federation? It's almost like that's what people are worried about. If they're the architects of this design, does that make them just fundamentally? It's sort of like the Declaration of Independence. Like, is it just always there? It's like no matter what you do, Facebook is just, yeah, I don't want to be in Threads anymore. I don't want to be on Instagram. Well, that's great, but Facebook has made it so that wherever you go next and bring all your Instagram friends and all your Thread friends,
it's like a chain. It's
exactly,
like linked.
Exactly. It's like, how are they?
It's like a virus.
Exactly. That's exactly my first thought was this. On the surface, if you really think about it, it sounds like a virus. It sounds like something that cannot be stopped and will infect everything it touches to the point where it will just be the body. You will just be ill all the time with no way.
Python.
Exactly.
I read it's a book, a child's book for anyone who doesn't have.
Yeah. But anyway, I just thought that was really interesting
Facebook,
because
you go to Instagram, you go to Threads, you go to another company, you go to another platform, but each time you port over, it becomes another link in the chain and another link that you cannot, or you lose everything and back to where you were if you were never part of this federation to begin with.
Yeah, it could be a little like blockchain if you want. If you want to, like, again, we've talked about blockchain technology a little bit. It's like there could always be a timestamp. It's like no matter what you try, there will be something that identifies that where you originated was Threads, and then how can you then monetize that? So let's say it's 20 years later, and you were on a platform that has nothing to do with Threads, has nothing to do with Instagram. It's a platform that didn't exist. It only popped up 5 years. Let's call it like TikTok. Okay, they bastardized the name of TikTok, and
it's retro.
Yeah, it's retro, right? At some point, Zuck is going to be able to go to TikTok and be like, "I follow this. You know where you got this guy? From Threads 20 years ago. All these followers, all this stuff that you're getting, it's from this guy. Pay me. I'm the architect. I'm the guy that this started from. You got to give me money because I could follow it. And I know that that's where he came from. He's not really yours because everything he's followed along the way, he's picked up. It's like he's picked up all these different outlets that I've been a part of, and they all pay me. Now you're going to pay me too. I mean,
what it sounds like? No. What that would mean is that the corporations are actually doing what we just proposed, in that they own the data, and regardless of how it's used in the future, they will always get a cut of it.
They will always get a cut of it. Yep. That could be a possibility. I'm saying it could be a possibility. We're not saying that's what he's after. But that's not what we're lying down here in the Fediverse, but it is sort of the fear that people are starting to talk about with him getting into this space. This was this is an ideology that has been around for some time, but having Facebook be the architect is really worrying people because they don't know how far this rabbit hole will go. So it's worth talking about it. I just thought it, you didn't mention it, but it's definitely something in the back burner with regard to.
That's interesting.
You had the metaverse that didn't do so well. Now there's the Fediverse. And the Fediverse feels a little bit more innocuous and something that is so pervasive that it might actually just fly under the radar. Very different. This is very
it's completely different from the metaverse. It's not
completely
dystopian mind trap where people don't go outside.
It's more dystopian, if anything. It's not overtly.
I don't know. The idea that you would spend your entire life plugged into a machine, like that's what they were pushing was a really hard pill for anyone to swallow, regardless, I think, of how tech savvy you are. This is probably potentially more devious in its subtleness, but long-term effect. The idea that you will be able to ingrain it will be able to ingrain itself in the long arc of your life, and then they can have you in some way. Like that would be the fear, is that you will continue to port over, but with each one of those, what is happening? And I think those are the questions that you said are so far unanswered.
Yeah.
And that's probably all hidden in The code and the T's and C's.
Yeah. No. Anyway, I thought that was a good place to
Well, that's really good.
round
I
it
didn't.
out.
Good
Fediverse.
job.